So we are, I am consciousness. I'm laying a foundation for this journey and maybe one more session. And after that, we will start with the teaching of the master. And that text contains about 590 or something odd verses. And each verse points to that I am the consciousness. Understanding is required. Only an understanding is required. I say tiger. So the tiger is a word, is an object. I'm conscious of it. So it is a thought. And that thought is equal to object plus consciousness. How do I know the thought? Since I wake up in the morning until I retire to the bed, I'm conscious of it. So, what is a thought? Object plus consciousness. If you don't have an object, you don't have a thought, right? But that object also means a word, an emotion, a feeling, a lot of stuff. Any object. It may be an emotion, it may be hatred, it may be jealousy, it may be love. I love you. Love is an object. I hate you. Hate is an object. Here is a camel. Yes, here is my honey. So, thought is equal to object plus consciousness. What we want to reach, I am consciousness. So, thought minus object is equal to consciousness. But there the mind plays the trick. So there the mind plays the trick since our childhood. It has been attached, it has been craving, it has been desiring lot of things, lot. So desiring outside means I desire the object, and that is the reason my mind is constantly active with the thought. Nobody is stranger to a thought. Are you a stranger of the thought? Everyone knows that we have a thought. Do you see that? So I don't want to think, and still the mind keeps on thinking. Image appears, emotion appears. I'm attached, I'm detached, I desire, I crave, I possess, I imagine. So thought carries forward my attachment, my concern, my fear, my anxiety, my duality, my conflict. Any thought associated with an emotion is an attachment. So now I'm switching on to the another topic. We already heard, so many times with the people, I'm attached to this, I'm attached to. What is this attachment? We have already heard on Monday, then Thursday's session, when there is a repetitive thought process about an object, it causes first it is likes and dislikes, and after that, either it is attachment or aversion. But what is this attachment? I'm simplifying it. I'm just giving you the one part of it. And so I plus I desire is attachment. I plus I like is attachment. I plus I hate is attachment. I plus I crave is attachment. I plus I imagine, I constantly imagining about something is attachment. I is there, and then plus I desire. When you separate the two, you will realize what happens. No, 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 what I desire, let me drop it for a while. So what remains is that I, the pure ego. That is the objective of every teacher in the Eastern wisdom, to point you to that I from where the journey should begin. And that is why the satsang is necessary. It cannot happen. It may happen by reading and studying the books. No doubt, it can happen. There are rare people, rare masters. But every time teacher directly or indirectly points you by talking about attachment or craving or delusion or thought or an object, oh, there is a long study. So now go a little deeper. When the mind lives in attachment, then what happens? We have already understood it causes a desire, and that mind dictates over the intellect and it paralyzes the intellect. You know, the importance of satsang. In today's session, you have started sharing good experiences, so I thought let us go a little deeper to lay a strong foundation in the today's session and the next session, and then we will go directly that I am the consciousness. So what I'm talking, mind lives in attachment, intellectual paralysis. What do you mean by paralyzing the intellect by the mind? What do you mean by paralyzing the intellect by the mind? If you feel discomfort at this time while listening to me, your intellect is paralyzed. Your mind has gone somewhere. Instead of paying attention to what I'm talking, your intellect is paralyzed at a very subtler level. Are you able to pay it 100% awareness and attention? 99% we are distracted. Why? Because of attachment. What is attachment? I plus I desire. What is both of this? It is a thought. What is a thought? Object plus consciousness. Do you see that? You have to see it clearly. The way you see your smartphone clearly, the way you see the monitor clearly, the way you see your house clearly. Oh, I have to see this. So when I see my house clearly, I say that this house is separate from me. Me and mine is a label. Do you see where I'm going? Can you find out? Yes, you can find out where I'm leading you to. Oh, there's a house, there's house. So me and mine I remove, and attachment is gone. What remains is the pure consciousness. I'm making it very, very simple. This is what the satsang is. Satsang. Sat means the real and the truth, and sang means the association company. Well, the teacher of the Eastern wisdom has to talk of this satsang, nothing else. Nothing else. Why? To motivate, to inspire you, to inspire the seeker, to point the truth. Here is the truth. There is only one possibility, communication, communication by thought. But we dissect the thought that I am conscious of something, and that something is expressed in words. It is a thought. Thought is object plus consciousness, and thought minus object, what is left is the consciousness, and I am consciousness. I cannot be object, I cannot be thought. Are you clear? Here and now, all the time. All the time? Yes, all the time. In the moment you realize that I am the consciousness, now this I am is not the thought, I am is not the desire, I am not the attachment, I am. Ah, what a great discovery! I am consciousness. That is why our master lays a tremendous emphasis on satsang, where the seeker allows the teacher to communicate with the real self. And your mind picks up that understanding. And when you pick up that understanding, you are there. So I said, you see, I'm dissecting each and every aspect of it. Oh, what I said just now. Pay attention. We are going into a deeper. I said, if the mind picks up, I think of UK, my mind is in UK. Now I'm talking about the mind. If the mind picks up, I'm talking of the, oh, there is a beautiful Iceland. Oh, yes, that's a beautiful country. You see, mind is not going anywhere. Mind simply imagines. When I think of the UK, did I land up in UK? No. Are you aware? So why we lose awareness because of attachment, because of craving, because of I plus I desire. I gave you the mathematical equation. I plus my body, Terry. I plus my body. Come on, I plus my body is also here. But that my body has a sense of attachment. How come that sense of attachment is there? Because that problem is diagnosed and it is associated with millions of the thoughts. Come back to the mind. What I said, if your mind is here and now, it will. Mind is always here and now. See what a logical understanding. Mind is always here and now. If I think of UK, did I go to UK? Did I? If I think of India, oh, India. India is also the largest democracy. Okay, so did I go to India? But because I lose awareness, it is because of the habit, it is because of the attachment, it is because of the I plus I think, and I lose it. I plus I am angry. Now think of millions of the thoughts passes to your mind. Mind does not go anywhere. I think of India, India comes to me. I think of the pasta, pasta comes to me. Are you getting it? Because I have to lay a strong foundation before we start what the master says. So all these in these last 12, 13 sessions. So let us think, listen, learn about real self. You see, I've changed Only I have changed a little bit. Instead of thinking about India, instead of thinking about attachment link, we think about the real self. Oh, but real self is also a thought. Yes, it is a thought. Then what? What is the thought? Object plus consciousness. So here the real self is an object. Thought is equal to real self plus consciousness. And what is real self? Consciousness. That is the understanding. We gradually and progressively we pick up. I'm only talking in the field of the consciousness. Thought is just an outer manifestation. And what happens? The thought is gone. Thought is acting like a wave, and I see the water. Now the thought is equal to consciousness plus consciousness. Consciousness cannot be divided. So the implicit meaning, and there is an explicit meaning. Implied meaning, literal meaning. Literal meaning, thought is consciousness. Implied meaning, there is only one consciousness. So I have recognized, I have realized that I am the consciousness. I am nothing else but the consciousness. Did you get it? So to get this, to know this, to realize this, to experience this, to live into that state all the time is what the teacher helps to the satsang. So there are millions of veils. There is a veil of attachment, there is a veil of passion, there is a veil of disturbed mind, there is a veil of distraction. So we have to remove each one. When you remove each one, you live into that consciousness all the time. Satsang, I said simple. You see, the company, association with the real self, or association with the consciousness. So when the teacher talks about these principles and you have 100% attention on that, you discover that. So now define the satsang. We have to explore the nature of the reality. You see the entire journey of the satsang. I don't waste even a single second. I just told Dennis, so let us do it after the session. Nature of the reality. Satsang, we also communicate, we also talk, we also answer the question, but focus is the nature of the reality. I'm deviating a little bit, pay attention. So once you approach to the nature of the reality, you start experiencing the change in your behavior and attitude. Instant change in behavior. I'm attached to you, so I'm insisting you to do something, but now that is not there. I relax and calm. I still communicate with you. There is a change in behavior and attitude. When there is a change in behavior and attitude, it changes your personality. When there is a change in personality, it changes your personal, professional, social, and family life. You start working, thinking, speaking, and acting with that kindness, with that compassion, with that love, with that care. Buddha says one word, compassion. So you interact in the world differently. Minus, you can say minus attachment, minus the veil of ignorance, minus it. But it doesn't mean that your words are the same. Communication, more or less, is the same outside, but internal awareness is totally different. Once we have that understanding, once you have that understanding, understanding means knowledge. Knowledge means consciousness. You see, I'm using so many words. That is where the satsang is required. So, Master says knowledge is consciousness. So, we have to understand, is the knowledge consciousness or is the consciousness knowledge, or both are the same thing? Knowledge. So now it is so we see that a lot of explanations are required. Knowledge of the smartphone is different from the knowledge of the real self. That is why we need a satsang, association with the real. And that is why the master says listening and learning, then repeat listening and learning. Constant contemplation and reflection is required. And if you see that by reflection you are not clear, do the practice. So gradually what happens, the practice loses its ground because you live into the higher awareness. You don't need that. And that is why the people use it's a non-practice. Mindfulness or meditation is a natural state. You don't need to do the practice. Um, Satsang, we also say a gathering of the people together where we do the self-inquiry, very primary level. Satsang can be practiced in a group or can be practiced individually, can be practiced alone when you start contemplating. You listen to it and then you stop listening and you start questioning, doing the self inquiry. That is what another journey begins of the contemplation. Through the contemplation, you get rid of what I said, I plus I desire. You get rid of it. You get a clarity of thought is equal to object plus consciousness. You get that clarity. You start living into that state all the time. For you, not a single thought, how high or how low it is. Your mind is not going anywhere. I told you, when I think of India, it is not, I, India has come to me. I did not go to India. So attachment comes to me. I did not go to attachment. So when I separate the two, oh, what a great relief that you get. Instant, there is an instant change in your response, in your behavior, in your attitude. So when we are communicating, when a teacher is communicating with these principles, now I'm laying a foundation of the text. So teacher, when he talks of that principles, so in the satsang, we are laying a foundation so that satsang can provide a direct transmission of wisdom through the presence of a teacher. There are texts. We Indians are aware of it, that there are masters who simply communicated that about the real self, and while communicating, the seeker has realized it. Oh, I have understood it. I have realized. I experienced. So, in order to reach to that state, I have to become a qualified seeker. And to reach to become a qualified seeker, I discussed about Mangalacharan. Do you remember? I discussed about four connections. I discussed about fourfold practices. And in a broader perspective, I talked about 360-degree understanding. So that 360-degree understanding enters into our head when we understand these steps of Mangalacharya. Never forget to do the Mangala. Pick up anything. Let everyone be happy. So let me find a common point. Let everyone be blessed. The moment you have a sense of attachment, anger, and hesitation, you said, let him be blessed also. Masters have found out that these mantras play an important role in purifying the mind. Think. You have to think. Now is the time that at least for an hour you should spend alone. Or, yes, if there are two people, nothing like it. Both are of the same, both are on the same page, both are listening. It's always good to communicate together also. That also becomes a contemplation. Pick up each and every step of every word and the communication and see that from where I can I can point out. My mind can point out. What I point out? India. Yes. So I can point out the real self. So one master says that satsang is a lighthouse that illuminates the foggy sea of illusion. It guides the seeker to the shore of the real self. Teacher should not talk of unnecessary, but yes, by metaphor, by examples, the focus should remain on the real self. The moment the focus is deviated, the thought process becomes different, and we have a thought plus an object. Consciousness is present there, but it is lost in the thought because of the attachment, aversion, distraction, deviation. So, teacher talks from that level. So, every time you listen, learn, and you are contemplating and reflecting, we align together. If the alignment is not there, then we need to do lot of practices. But should I leave all the practices and pay attention to only listening and understanding? Okay, yes, you are in kindergarten, do PhD, take admission in Harvard. We have to do together. You have to follow. Practice is very important. Continue the practice that we do on Mondays and Thursdays. Otherwise, this ego will cheat you and you will blame the teacher. We cannot do without action. We cannot live even a single moment without action. So, why don't you incorporate the practice every day without faith? It's very important. Let me use a thought, my eyes. And now I say, I am not my eyes who perceives. I become conscious of this thought. Means I am not the eyes, I am not the perception through the eyes. I'm hinting you that where we are moving ahead. I feel the emotion very good. Where? In the mind. So I am not the mind, I am not the emotion. I am thinking. I am not the intellect and I am not the thought. I am the knower of perception by the senses. I am the knower of all the feelings and emotions. And I am the knower of all the thoughts that are moving into your mind. That knower is conscious. So in a satsang, those who are seekers, the teacher brings the mind back to the subject of real self. And then the satsang takes place. Satsang means association of the real self, the truth, the communication with the real self begins at both ends, at the level of the seeker, at the level of the teacher. Where it is happening? It is happening in the mind. It is happening in the pure mind. I gave an example. UK. I'm not in UK. I am the real self. For that we need, I don't say that we need a higher IQ, we need a common sense. For higher IQ, you go to Harvard and Ivy League colleges. We need a common sense. It can happen here and now. So you have to ask yourself as a seeker when to engage myself in a satsang. Am I ready? Am I prepared? Am I aware? Am I relaxed and calm? His mind is not distracted on lot of other stuff. And then yes, it will happen. Otherwise, I have lot of things I'm doing while communication is going on. Then one master says that satsang provides a direct communication, direct transmission of the wisdom, direct through these principles. Listening to my master, listening again and again, same thing again and again and again. And one day the mind clicked. But it means there must be a seeker in you, not just a good, okay, let me listen to it, I am free now, then I will be busy. Busy in what? Attachment, the same stuff. We have been in stress every day. We will remove the stress, another form of the stress will take over us, and that is how we live our life. One problem or the other problem. I have to solve many problems. Problem cannot be solved. Problems is synonym to the word. Word does not have a problem, but word itself is a problem. So what satsang do? Satsang helps you to change the perspective from an ego-centered personality to a real self-centered being. It makes you aware that here is a being and here is a becoming. Becoming has no way to realize the truth. Becoming is constantly changing. There is a presence of the being. That is the rule of the satsang. Mind is not prepared, and who hears the same talk, and mind is prepared who listens to the same talk. It makes a hell of difference. That is the rule of the Mangala Charan I told you. But just before a few minutes, or just when you wake up in the morning, oh, today is the session. So your mind, let us start thinking of that. Thought, I told you what is thought. I need not to repeat it. So the object is the real self, even while going to the restroom, even taking a cup of tea or a coffee. I'm not saying you to leave anything. There are no do's and don'ts. What is required is inner awareness, gathering of that mind that is scattered outside to inside. At this stage of becoming a seeker, because you shared so beautiful experiences, I thought, let us take a leap forward. Absorb and digest and assimilate. Om Sahana Vavatu. We may both be blessed. Let there be a protection of the existence during the communication between the teacher and the seeker. So the teacher is also not distracted, so the seeker is also not distracted. Protection is Sahanau Bhunaktu. Nourishment be there. May we enjoy both. Teachers should teach with that energy, not with the sleeping mode. Should have a full of energy, clarity of communication. And so the seeker should also have that. Sahaviryam karva vahe. Active participation. You are intellectually participating. You are absorbing yourself into that knowledge of real self to assimilate and digest. Tejasvina vadhitamastu. May our intellect remain alert not to get dictated by the mind. It is clouded by the impure mind or agitated mind. Ma vidvisha vahi. There should not be any jealousy or envy against each other. Otherwise, the communication is clogged. So it is not that you need to sit to perfect the Mangala Charan or the four connections that I discussed. Do you remember the subject matter, the result of the subject matter, and qualified seeker? And from that qualified seeker, we have a fourfold practices of discernment, dispassion, six treasures, and intense desire. The last point is most important. No, everything is most important. When you are doing the Mangala Charan, you are following, contemplating over the four connections and the fourfold practices. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months. The time will come when your mind will constantly remind you that I have to discover the real self in feeling, in thought, in emotions, in perception. That is the meaning, that you have an intense desire to realize the real self. The higher seeker always have an intense desire to realize the real self. No, I have a lot of problems. What should I do? Solve the problem, other problems will come. You become more and more aware of yourself, withdrawal of the mind. So you get rid of that attachment, duality, and a conflict. So you can see what is the root of the problem in your personal, professional, and social life. You can easily solve it. I'm not saying that it will solve, but it is naturally solved. You understand what step to take. Problem means that I'm not able to understand the entire situation. I'm not able to understand the unfavorable condition in my life. I'm not able to understand that why I get angry and upset all the time. See that. Let us close your eyes. Close your eyes. We will follow yadi deham prathakritya chiti vishramya tishtasi adhunaiv sukhi shantah bandhamukto bhavishyasi. Even the satsang is singing these chants and these mantras with emotions and feeling to bring the mind back to the journey of the self discovery. That too is possible. But at present, eyes are closed. And so, what I said, I perceive means I hear, taste, see, touch, smell. This is all about the perception. So we will explore. I am none of these perceptions, my friend. Then I think, now I feel certain emotions, positive and negative. All emotions, whether it's a fear, anxiety, pleasure, etc., etc. So I have to explore. I am none of these emotions. It is only because of the thought I am attached to causes this. Then I think, so I am not a thinker at all. Well, I just picked up randomly one aspect of the understanding. So we will go. So Master says, Yadi deham prathak kratyachati vishramya tishtasi. If I separate body is already separate. So how to experience that separation? I identify with the body. I identify with the body. So one identification, one step, I say I perceive. I see you, I feel you, I touch you, etc. etc. And then the second step, I feel that emotion. You see, I like you, so I have that feeling of liking emotion. And because in the third level is the thinking. I think I love you. We think basically. Then only I express that I love you or I hate you. So when the master says separate body, it simply means that these three levels of three layers of experiences. You see, I changed the entire understanding of that. That is the beauty of the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. Because if I don't have any identification with the ears, you are listening to me and you are still listening, but minus identification. You are listening minus attachment. What happens then? This is the beauty. And we can go in the same possible way. Looking at the shoulder joints. Shoulder joints, it is object. And then I say sensation or feeling of the. So it is a thought. So we forget in the thought and the object and the meaning of the thought. Direct meaning. And what is the implied meaning? One thing is very clear without consciousness, there is no shoulder joints, no sensation, no sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Do you see? I just jumped into another deeper step. Let us go and do the same thing what we did last time. Look at the shoulder joint. Feeling is there, sensation is there, the comfort in the mind is there, and the steadiness is there. At the same time, now we jump today to a higher level of sensation. It's a matter of perception. Comfort, it's a emotion or a feeling. Oh, it's a matter of the mind. An entire thought of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. It's a matter of intellect. We have three layers of the experience. Without the identification with the body, if you, as long as you say, I am the body, as long as your mind deep inside at the unconscious, habitual, impulsive level declares, I am the body, you have sensation, comfort, and steadiness. You will say that yes, I feel comfort, but there is no I here. Come on. Now, can you see what we did last time, or you might have been doing it regularly? Then you will realize, oh, what we have been doing. Now we are challenging our experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. It is because of the I thought. I plus I feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. I just talked in the very beginning. I plus I feel sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Very good. And this means I is attached here with the body. So I forget to exclude the body from identification. Yeah, even that is a good step in the very beginning, but we have already crossed and transcended that. Now, when you drop identification from the body, can you act? Can you act? No. So, mindfulness is there. Mindfulness is here and now. You see, I extracted the journey of today's mindfulness by understanding. So, when I experience only the sensation, comfort, and steadiness, and I'm okay with it. I'm a seeker, but yet I have to transcend that. Feel okay is good, but where is real self? So, unless we have an intense desire to find real self, we are content with sensation, comfort, and stillness. Oh, I will repeat it again. So I keep identifying with the body. And as long as there is an identification, there must be an attachment or aversion. That is the problem. Now again look at the carefree. What the master says, literal meaning, yadi deham, if body is separate. So why he says body if? Because he is aware that if we are a seeker, then what he says, the mind rests within. Chiti Vishramya Tishtasi. What it means, you are aware of the object plus consciousness, which is a thought. This is next level. Next level from what? When I say, oh, look at these thoughts, they are coming and going. Do not get carried away by the thought. Okay. Do not get carried away by thought, feeling, or any object. That is what we say. Let the thought come, let thought come and go. No, we have transcended that level. Every time a thought or a feeling enters into my experience, I look as object plus awareness. Let's just make it simple. If I am aware of the thought, if I am aware of the object, then only I have a thought. So now any thought comes and goes, let it come and go. But at the same time, oh, this object plus awareness. That is why I have this thought. This object plus this awareness. I love you, honey, if you have that thought. So honey is an object. Love is also an object. And that I is the consciousness. I plus I feel, I do, I perceive, etc., 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 etc. So there is a recognition of the consciousness which is doing nothing. What one is doing at the level of the mind and the intellect and the level of the perception, I is identified with it. There comes the body, consciousness, and all the sense organs become active. We forget ourselves into this perception, this feeling, and the thought. We forget all the small waves, big waves, beautiful waves. We forget the water. Behind every perception, feeling, emotion, thought, there is mm, mm, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Mm, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences, bring the hands down with shared experiences now. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you for the lesson. I'm feeling good, and I was contemplating this formula that thought equals to object plus consciousness. And I think that when we understand that the object is changing, consists of parts, and we understand that it is false, it is
Yeah,
not existent. And this is the one part of it. And the other part of it is that the object cannot exist without the consciousness. Even the quantum physics says that if there is no one to look at the object does not exist.
yeah,
It's only a set of fluctuations, energy fluctuations, and only the observer perceives it as an object, makes it look like an object. So if we take out the consciousness, there is no object. And if there is no object, then the thought in this formula is also false, imaginary, and non existent. And this understanding brings us to the conclusion that only the awareness remains.
what a beautiful discernment. This is known as the power of discernment. So only the consciousness alone is the reality. Consciousness does not change. It has no birth in the death. Thought has a birth in the death. Beautiful contemplation. So when we sit with that kind of a contemplation, what is unreal, what is false, that is constantly changing, that is the birth and the death, that is made up of the parts, and oh, then what is left? And then what's there is a sudden awakening inside. Beautiful. Thank you, Dennis. How are you, David and Jay?
Thank you. Yeah, great lesson. And I was thinking of Dennis because there was a lot of mathematical formulas in there. And the one for me that I really liked is thought plus consciousness equals object. Therefore, consciousness equals object minus thought. And
Yeah,
so if we take away our thoughts about an object, then we're in pure consciousness.
good. Yes. Thought is equal to object plus consciousness. Thought minus object is consciousness. Thought is produced by mind. Object is perceived by the mind. Mind is not there, object is not there. Both are changing. Bo- Both are changing. But one thing is constant. You see a beautiful statement made by the master: I know you. Thought, I don't know you. What is common? Consciousness. I'm conscious that I don't know you. I am conscious that I know you. In both the cases, one thing doesn't change. Now apply this. I know I love you. I know I hate you. And go on, continue. Your mind will become so calm and relaxed that you will have no time to think of it. How are you, Jerry?
I'm good, thank you, sir. Yeah, so much application, and I feel like the timing of it was really poignant for us, David and I. So we'll share a lot of that and hopefully be able to really apply it. For me, it went right to awareness, because we have to be aware. When we live in consciousness and complete awareness, then we are never without being mindful of our actions, of our thoughts, of our words. So we're not frustrated. There's no suffering. And yes, we have to practice because we have thousands of impressions that bring us back. But when we really are practicing this, we quickly can say, oh, let that go.
Let that go. Yes, yes.
Bring ourselves right back to what's true and be aware and make the right decisions. So
Make the right decision. Beautifully said. You see, that is where we have to live. So what happens once we reach to a point where I'm structuring a thought, that where we continue to live into that state, whether we think of it or we do not think. So that state is awakening. I'm awakened to it. So when I'm awakened to it, I wake up totally to a new world. My perception undergoes a tremendous change. That is the beauty. How are you, Brandy?
Thank you. I'm good. I had a really practical application of the lesson during the meditation because my shoulder was bothering me before the meditation and it's kind of bothering me again, but it didn't bother me during the meditation, especially after you had us bring like, our attention to it. I forgot about it, just because my awareness wasn't on the shoulder object. It makes me think about that guy you told us about that had the surgery without any anesthesia.
You
Yeah.
see that? You see that when I discern object plus consciousness, that is the power of discernment. So when I discern, it is not one. There is an object, shoulder, then another object is the pain, and I am conscious of the both. And because of the attachment, identification with the body, I say I have a pain, I cannot practice. So when you discern it, it is gone. Beautifully. Thank you for sharing. How are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. So mine was calm with the same formula that the consciousness plus attachment plus object. We are more focused towards the attachment and the object, but we forget about the consciousness. And then the consciousness remains always here. With the same formula, the understanding is that we think about the future and the past,
Yep,
but there's no future and the past. It's all in the mind. We are
it is.
always in the present moment only.
I think of
And
India, India comes to me. I think of past, past comes to me.
so from that, it brings to the awareness that we forget about the present moment and live in the future and the past. But it's like that we are always here only.
There is another way of discernment. You see, that is the meaning that it's a real satsang. We are sharing, we are contemplating, we are reflecting, we are becoming aware. Beautifully said. How are you, Terry?
I really, even though this wasn't supposedly a non-practice,
Yes.
I was so focused on staying alert and really listening that I became very aware of every sensation
Beautiful.
and that and my breath, which I was using to stay focused, so it became a practice. But I was more able to do to have an experiential, or at least to come closer to experiential realization rather than trying to
Yes, rather than
accomplish the task.
Terry. the way you communicated today, you have to communicate in the same fashion all the time. You will forget about Parkinson's.
Huh.
It is because of your higher level of awareness you started communicating stressfully. Stress means in a positive sense, emphatically, because you are
Ah.
more aware the way you communicated today.
Intentionally.
Yeah. And nobody can notice. Nobody can notice that you are having a problem. Beautiful. That is what it is about. Thank you very much. I and Dennis will continue.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Namaste.
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 Hello?
Hello.
Hi, I'm calling to do with Best Buy. We have your microwave.